in this afternoon session, we shall speak about meditation in Advaita Vedanta. And I will also answer several good questions have come in. The first one actually refers to this, meditation in Advaita Vedanta. Meditation in Advaita Vedanta is called Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana. Dhyana is the Sanskrit term for yogic meditation, or generally for meditation dhyana. And in Advaita Vedanta they use a technical term, Nididhyasana. Here's a question. Namaste, Swami Sarvapriyananda ji, can you please give a talk on Ashtavakra or any other Nididhyasana text? So text which can be used for meditation. I actually have given talks on Ashtavakra. If you Google it, if you go on YouTube and search with my name and Ashtavakra, you'll find a few talks. Not too many, but a few. It's what Swamiji was saying, that sometimes it's called extreme non-dualism or uncompromising non-dualism. So Ashtavakra is not like this. Here the theory is explained, preliminary practices are talked about, the arguments are given. In Ashtavakra none of that is there. Ashtavakra tells us that you are Brahman, and then goes on doing that throughout the book. There's only one message there. You are Brahman. In 100 different ways you're told exactly that. Now that's meant for somebody who has already understood all of this, studied quite a bit, and has got a general understanding of Vedanta. Now to stay with that truth, to stay with that understanding, to marinate in that understanding. I like that example. In cooking, after you're done, you don't immediately take the pot off the stove. You put a lid on it and let it simmer and marinate. It absorbs the spices better. Similarly, after the classes are done, after you have studied, after you have thought about it, now you have come to the conclusion. And remember, it's a conclusion about ourselves. You stay with that conclusion. Just focus on it, drive everything else out from your mind and stay with it until it becomes a living reality. As real as I think that I am the body now, that it will happen like that I will realize, I will feel, I am the witness consciousness, I am the one existence consciousness bliss. It will become not only a feeling, not only a realization. Just like right now, I don't have to maintain the feeling that I am Sarvapriyananda. I don't have to meditate on it. Morning and evening I must sit and meditate, I am Sarvapriyananda, otherwise I might forget. No. It's effortless. It should become like that. And for that, Vedantic meditation is prescribed. Ashtavakra is like, if you read the book itself, it's like meditation. Also, it's not that you really have to understand a lot of Advaita Vedanta to appreciate Ashtavakra. Because it's the highest truth about ourselves, there is something within us which responds to it directly. So there are a lot of people who love that text. And there are different English translations available. The beautiful one which I use is called The Heart of Awareness. The Heart of Awareness. Byrom, not the poet Byron. Byrom, B-Y-R-O-M. So there are different English translations. If you read it, because it's talking about our deepest reality, there's something within us which responds and feels that, yes, this is true. And I want to read more of this because it's telling me about myself. So even without knowing too much about the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, having read too many texts, if you go straight to Ashtavakra also, one gets a lot of benefit. Okay, that's Ashtavakra. Then, let me get into the subject, then I'll come back into the Q&A. So what is the subject? What is the subject? Please come to verses in the text, Aparokshanubhuti, verse 102 and 103. 102 and 103. Let me set out the context. What is it actually that we do in Advaita Vedanta? What is the actual practice? What does an Advaitic student do? You know, a yogic student will sit down in a posture and meditate and breathe in this way and concentrate in this way. A person who's practicing devotion to God has certain devotional practices, prayer and chanting and ritualistic puja and things like that. A karma yogi will do whatever the volunteers are doing outside. So there are clear practices. What about Advaita Vedanta? What do you do? So the practice is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana literally means hearing, but it means a systematic study of the texts under a teacher. So the information, like yesterday we were talking about it, this is Harvard Business School. Those of you who were yesterday, you understand. That information is transmitted to us. Not that this is Harvard Business School, this is what we are. Our reality is transmitted to us when we study these texts with the help of a teacher. Then next comes Manana, which is reflection on these texts. And finally Nididhyasana, which is meditation. How are they related? What is the purpose of each step? So listening, reflection, meditation. These are the three steps which you are supposed to go through. What happens in each of the three steps? The first step, if we complete it, we will be able to say, now I know what the text says. If the step of listening, studying has been done properly, I'll be able to say, now I know what the text is. You see, that's very simple. No, it is not. Anybody who has taught in a school or college, you know, a lot of the times the students are not listening. And if you ask afterwards, please tell me what was taught. You start scratching. Something about Brahman, Atman, I don't know. No. I should be able to at least say in my own words the gist of what has been transmitted. So that step is of course foundational, absolutely important. You can't do without it. Second, after I have done this, I may still say, I know what the text says, but I don't get it. I have many questions. There's a difference. You may know what the teacher said, but you can also legitimately claim that I don't get it yet. I don't understand it. I have several difficulties with what you. I've got several doubts about what you are saying. That is the stage for manana, reflection, where we raise questions, we try to figure it out ourselves, we ask others, and the texts also help us to do that. Many texts are in Vedanta. You have a tradition of debate. So it is Siddhanta and Purva Paksha. Siddhanta means the one who is propounding a philosophy. So here Advaita is the Siddhanta. That means non-dualism is the philosophy I'm going to talk about. So this is my philosophy. Now the Purva Paksha is the opponent who may raise all sorts of questions from a common sense perspective, from a materialist perspective, from a Buddhist perspective, from different perspectives, from different philosophies. Objections may be raised to this kind of philosophy. Now you have to answer those questions, reason it out. So with the help of the text, with the help of the teacher, with the help of other students, and primarily with the help of one's own intelligence, one works out these things till one gets clarity. When do you know that the second stage is over? What is the second stage? Reflection. When do I know that the second stage is over? When I can say, I not only know what the text said, but I also now understand what the text said. I get it. I get it. Now what more remains? I can still say, I understood what the text said. I have got it. I have got it. I know what the text says and now I have understood it also. Both are done. But still it's not real to me. It's theoretical. I have understood it theoretically. At this point many people may say, I have an intellectual understanding of the teaching. But it's not real to me in my life. How do I know it's not real? Well, the promised results are not there. You're promising that I shall overcome suffering. You're promising that I shall realize my nature as existence, consciousness, bliss. I don't feel that. I understand what's being said, but I don't feel it yet. The gap is like what the Swami was saying, the difference between I am, but I am also dead. So that I am dead is identification with the body, and I'm still claiming that I am dead, and yet at the same time say that I am in some sense. Both can't be true. Here, I say I understand it, but I don't feel that I am Brahman. There's still some problem there. So the final stage is, what we have studied and what we have understood, you stay with that in a process of meditation. And those are the meditation techniques which will be talked about. That is called Nididhyasana. So 3 stages. First stage, studying and listening. You can say at the end of it, I know what the text says. Second stage, questioning, reasoning, argumentation. At the end of it, one can claim, I not only know what the text says, but I also understand it now. Third stage, it's real. It's real for me now. It's done. After I complete the third stage. So these are basically the three stages and the reasons for them. What to expect in each stage. Traditionally, when you study Advaita Vedanta, they give, this is the understanding of the three stages. The traditional approach to Advaita Vedanta says, knowledge comes from the first stage, not the third stage. You would expect enlightenment comes from meditation. No. Knowledge comes from the first stage. Listening. It's true. That example I gave about the Harvard Business School, every day in the morning I would open the windows and see the buildings, but I did not know it was the business school. And then what happened? That lady told me, this is the Harvard Business School. Then what happened? I know, I see, I've been seeing it every day, but I did not know it. Now I know it. How did I get that knowledge? By listening, by those words. The teaching itself gave me the knowledge. I didn't reason it out. I didn't meditate upon it. The teaching itself gave me the knowledge. Now this is called in Advaita Vedanta, Shabda Parokshavada, direct knowledge from the text. And that's what's supposed to happen ideally. The famous story of the 10 friends who crossed a river, and then one of them thought that, have we all crossed or did somebody drown? And they thought, let's count. And they counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my God, the 10th person is drowned. Obviously he forgot to count himself. And another person says, no, you're doing it wrong, let me count. Each person counted and they found only 9 were there. And they thought that the 10th person was drowned, and they were crying and weeping. And then some wise person comes along and asks, what is the problem? We were 10 friends, we set out on a journey, we crossed the river, and our friend, the 10th person, drowned. How do you know that? And he counted. And then this person said, count again. The 10th person is there. God exists. Atman Brahman is there. 10th person is there. Don't cry. And there is some hope. Where? I will show you. I will show you. How? Please count. We counted. No, do it again. Humor me. And that person starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I told you 9 only. And this man comes and takes his hand and turns it around and says, that thou art 10th person, thou art the 10th. Dashamastvamasi. Thou art the 10th. 10. And he realizes, oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, the 10th person is alive. And the others said, let me try it. And they all tried and they said, yes, 10th person is alive. Now, how did this person realize that I am the 10th person is, how is the 10th person found? By the teaching alone, by those words alone. So, the traditional way of looking at hearing, reasoning and meditation is this. That hearing the teaching leads to knowledge. So, Swami, you have heard it. And some of us have been hearing it before you were born. It has not led to enlightenment. Then the Advaitin says, problem. There are two kinds of problems. Asambhavana, Viparita Bhavana. Asambhavana means impossibility. Or impossibility doubt. And the Viparita Bhavana means contrary tendencies of the mind. So what is the first problem? Asambhavana is impossibility. I hear that I am Brahman. I hear that the world is an appearance and there is some absolute reality called Brahman. I hear that. But it's impossible. How is this possible? I am clearly a body. This world is clearly real. And what Brahman you're talking about seems to be a fiction. Where is it? How is it possible? This is called impossibility doubt. And this sort of is an umbrella which covers many, many other doubts which come under it. And this is why there is a second stage, that of reasoning it out. And then after reasoning it out, you say, oh, now I get it. I understand what you mean by Brahman. I understand what you mean when you say, I am not a body-mind. I am the consciousness experiencing a body-mind. I understand. But it hasn't changed my life. I haven't become a Buddha or a Jivan Mukta, an enlightened being. I still get mad when people are annoying to me. I still feel unhappy. Maybe I'm still afraid of death, though I understand in some way that I'm not the body. So I'm not getting the benefit of that understanding. I am not enlightened. My life has not become transformed. I haven't become a Jivan Mukta, a saint. So this is called contrary tendencies. The mind and body have been used to thinking, speaking, behaving in a certain way. And that continues in spite of an understanding. Usually the problem is, when the mind is purified, the understanding manifests itself as realization. When the mind is not purified, so one Swami in India said, the fourfold qualifications, Viveka, Vairagya, the six disciplines, the six treasures, Sat Sampatti, and the intense desire to be free. So the basic qualifications for Vedanta is, now you will realize. With those qualifications, if one does the Vedantic study and argumentation and meditation, enlightenment straight away. Jivan Mukti, freedom while living. If one does not have those in sufficient measure, the basic qualifications, the disciplines and the moral preparations, then what will happen is, you will feel that I have learnt a particularly clever philosophy, but that's it. It's nice. It's a very subtle and interesting philosophy, but it didn't revolutionize my life as I thought it would. That's because not the problem of the philosophy. It didn't work. Suppose that man who is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then he turns his hand around and says, "Thou art the 10th." And the man goes, "How? What do you mean I am the 10th? 10th person is drowned." What will you say to him? So that person requires preparation. The technique will not work. That thou art will not work on such a person. If that lady had said to me, "This is the Harvard Business School," and I had no interest in the Harvard Business School, I had never known what the Harvard Business School is, I would have said so. It doesn't solve my problem because I am not yet attuned to it. So the meditation, how does that solve the problem? The third stage. What I have understood, it marinates me in that. We will see. You stick with it, stay with it until it becomes an undeniable living reality for you. There is a breakthrough. It comes. Once it comes, one sign of it will never go away. This worldly identity, Sarvapriyananda, I can't deny it easily. It will not go away that way. I don't have to maintain it. It's effortless. I can't even change it if I want to. Exactly like that, I am the underlying existence consciousness bliss, which shines through every being and every experience of my body, mind. This becomes so undeniable, you can't change it anymore. And it does not require any effort to maintain it also. That will happen because of this meditation, finally. Alright, so what is Vedantic meditation? Aparoksha Anubhuti is unique that way, where Shankaracharya actually discusses Vedantic meditation in depth. A lot of discussion is there. So from verses 102 onwards, almost till the end, 15 techniques of Vedantic meditation are discussed. 15 techniques of Nididhyasana are discussed. So we will quickly take a look at a few. What he has done here is slightly mischievous. What he has done is he has taken the terms from yoga in this Vedantic meditation. All the terms are borrowed from yoga. All the things that we're used to, asana, pranayama, all of them is borrowed from yoga and completely changed their meanings. And then he contrasts it with the yoga meaning and sort of putting it down. He says, that's what the yogi says, this is what it really means. Then later on he will say, it's not that he's telling you not to do yoga. He is telling you that those yogic practices are absolutely essential, they are very good as a foundation. But ultimately one must come to this Vedantic Nididhyasana. So let's quickly take a look at what he means by Vedantic meditation. This is the context, background, why we need Vedantic meditation. Why did I give this context? So some people think that, oh, so finally it's the meditation which is important. Let me skip ahead. Why read all these? I'll skip straight to 102 and then I'll sit down and meditate. First 100 verses not necessary. It will never ever work. It's like going to class in a university and the professor tells you, come to class, get the textbook, read the textbook, listen to the class, take notes, think about it, then sit quietly and just hold on to it, focus hard. Then you will get it, what I'm teaching. And if a student thinks, sit quietly, then you will get it. That last one is most important. Earlier things I can dispense with. I won't go to class, I won't get the textbook, I won't listen to the professor, I will not think about it, just sit quietly. Then will I become a physicist, mathematician? Nothing. You'll just sit quietly, that's all. And after some time you'll get bored. So, Vedantic meditation is the culmination. The most important thing is the Vedantic study and the Shravana. Then on getting it, and then this one. But this one is also very important. Otherwise, it will not, generally for most people, it will not flash. It will not culminate in full-blown realization. Alright. Quickly, 15 techniques. You need not chant, I will just read it out. Yamo hi niyamastyago maunam deshascha kalata asanam mula bandhascha deha samyam cha drikstitihi prana sanyamanam chaiva pratyaharascha dharana atma dhyanam samadhischa proktanyangani vaikramat. So in sequence, the 15 limbs of yoga have been described here. Normally we are used to Ashtanga yoga, yoga which has 8 limbs or 8 parts, 8 aspects. What are the 8 aspects? Yama and Niyama, the moral preliminaries, do's and don'ts, the basic moral ethical life, the basis of yoga. And then asana, how to sit. I said, do I have to learn how to sit? Yes. The yoga teacher will say most of the time our posture is atrocious. Harmful physically, mentally, emotionally. So sitting. And then pranayama, control of the breath. I have to learn how to breathe also? Yes. I read that Iyengar, who wrote that classic book on yoga, I think Lights on Yoga, when he came here to this country first, it's interesting that the 3 top teachers to whom you can trace almost all of the Hatha Yoga in this country back, they all came from the same place, Mysore. Krishnamacharya, Pattabi Joyce and Iyengar. They all came from the same place. So he wrote this book and he said, when I first started my yoga studio somewhere in the United States, I found that the Westerners were walking into the class, they were hardly breathing at all. Only a small portion of their breathing capacity because of tension, bad breathing habits, not being aware of what's going on. So, and that automatically leads to poor health. Anyway, so pranayama. Here pranayama is for concentration of mind, for meditation. So pranayama, that's 4. Then pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses from their objects. That means turning inwards, not being in contact. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. It takes up an enormous amount of our cognitive capacity. So if I want to meditate, I must free it up. Compare it with a student. If a student is continuously active, which they are sometimes, engaged in half a dozen different things, you cannot concentrate on the textbook. You get distracted immediately. So there are so many efforts going on to make students focus. I saw in Harvard different places, environments, beautiful environments have been created, absolutely quiet. Only one thing they should put in is ban the digital devices and concentrate on the handout or something, whatever you are reading. Because they're carrying the distraction in the pocket, no matter how much environment you put up. There is a chair which I use once only. It becomes like a little hut. You can cut off everything and sit in. It's like a cocoon, you can withdraw inside it. All sorts of ways. Pratyahara, those are physical ways, but here mentally you withdraw from the external world. Then dharana. Dharana means focus. That dharana, focus, deepens into dhyana, meditation. And the culmination of meditation is the 8th step, samadhi. At which point the mental breakthrough was supposed to be there, the realization. So 8 limbs, and then Shankaracharya, he borrows from other Hatha Yoga texts and adds 7 more. And so you have 15 steps, or 15 techniques. Remember, in yoga, all the 8 limbs are supposed to be practiced. You can't say, I just do pratyahara, nothing else. You have to do all 8. Whereas here, any one of them can lead you to enlightenment. What he will show. And he has on purpose taken those terms from yoga. These terms do not belong to Advaita Vedanta. He's taken them from yoga. Let's see a few. We'll get the hang of it. First, what are the 15 limbs he has mentioned? 15 aspects. Yama, moral practices, and Yama and Niyama, moral practices, 1 and 2. Tyaga, renunciation. Maunam, silence. Desha, proper space where to practice. Kala, time for practice. Asanam, sitting. Mula bandha, which are the yogic locks which Hatha Yoga teachers know about. Deha samyam, posture. Drik sthiti, where to keep your vision. That's an entire science in yoga called trataka, to train the vision. And remember, none of these terms mean what they actually mean in yoga. They'll change all the meaning. Then 11, prana sanyamanam, which is breathing, pranayama. Then 12, pratyahara, withdrawal. 13 is dharana, focus. Dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, 15. So these are the 15 steps. Let's take the first one. Verse 104. You need not chant, I'll just read it out. Sarvam brahmeti vijnanat indriyagrama sanyamaha yamoyam iti samprokto abhyasaniyo muhurmuhu. Everything, restraining the senses by the knowledge that all this is Brahman, is called yama, which should be continuously practiced. Now let's see first, what is the meaning of yama in yoga? In yoga, by which I mean Patanjali yoga, the term yama has a specific meaning. There are 5 practices which are used in yama. One is satya, truth. Ahimsa, non-violence. Brahmacharya, celibacy or sense control of the senses. Then aparigraha, non-acceptance of gifts. And then asteya, that means non-stealing. Now, what do these mean and why are they important? Truth, of course, is fundamental. Sri Ramakrishna said, if you want to practice one thing in this age, he says, in the age of Kali, truth is the tapasya. Kali Yuga tapasya is the spiritual practice, the moral, ethical practice for this age is holding on to truth. Of course, truth verbally, in what I say, but also in integrity in life. Then ahimsa, non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi, whose 150 years we are celebrating now, of course he popularized the use of this term ahimsa for non-violence. There is an interesting letter written by some of the freedom fighters, politicians at that time, to Mahatma Gandhi, criticizing his approach. Mahatma Gandhi insisted truth, non-violence, brahmacharya, that is control of the senses, or even celibacy, those things have to be practiced by everybody. But remember, it was a struggle against the British for the independence of India. Mahatma Gandhi always was a spiritual practitioner. This is very interesting. He saw himself and always was a spiritual seeker. In his book, Experiments with Truth, who am I? He says, many people think that I am a politician. Many people think that I am a freedom fighter. Many people think I am a social reformer. But if you ask me, who am I? Who are you? I am a simple man in search of God. So interesting, that's what lends unity to his whole life. Whether it is politics, whether it is fighting for the freedom of India, whether it is reforming the society, whatever he is doing, behind it is one single search, the search for spiritual realization. Now this is something that not all the others shared. Many people misunderstood. They thought his non-violence was a good strategy. The British are powerful and armed. How can the Indians struggle against the British for freedom? So non-violence would be the good strategy to deal with a powerful, armed, much stronger oppressor. Yes, it's a good strategy, but for Gandhi it was not a strategy. It was a spiritual practice. And so the letter was, we understand non-violence and insistence on truth, fine. But what is all this celibacy and sense control? Why are these things necessary? And Gandhi writes with a touch of sorrow that they don't realize, practiced individually they are almost impossible to maintain. But if they practice together it becomes easier. Want to practice truth but lead a dissolute, indisciplined life. Very difficult to hold on to the truth. Want to practice brahmacharya, but I will not hold on to truth. Very difficult to hold on to brahmacharya. But you practice all of it together, they are mutually supporting and you get the strength to hold. It's a very good insight. It's only a person who is a spiritual seeker will get this insight. So, ahimsa, non-violence, brahmacharya, control of the senses, and there are different gradations of brahmacharya, different for monks and celibates, different for householders, different for students, like that. But some discipline there is required. Then, of course, non-stealing, never taking what is not what is one's, and that can be extended greatly. You might think, what exactly constitutes stealing? Not just literally breaking the law, but also many things which do not belong to us, which we have no need of. Why are we taking it away from nature or from other people? And finally, non-acceptance of gifts might sound like a weird thing, especially in this country. We are supposed to give gifts and it would be very rude not to accept gifts. But the whole idea is against accumulation and against a sense of obligation. When one, see, meditation is a very deep and internal practice. Whatever disturbs the mind or throws it off balance, whatever externalizes the mind will become, at one point, become an obstacle to meditation. I remember this story about gifts. Every time we accept something, there is an internal subtle effect on our mind, which we become beholden to that person who has given something. So that's why monks are always told not to take more than what you require. In fact, it's always a good discipline to take a little less than what you require. There's always a disciplined life. You might think, why should monks be worried about this? You don't know. You become a monk, you'll see the amount of gifts that you get. You'll be overwhelmed. So you have to absolutely say no. There is a story I heard about Swami Premeshanandaji from Swami Suhitanandaji. Swami Premeshanandaji was this great, very senior monk whom did you ever see him? No. I also never saw him, long before my time. He's a disciple of the Holy Mother, and another one who in his own time was regarded as an enlightened soul. And he inspired many young men to become monks and women to become nuns, and who are now the leaders of our organization now. So here's one story about him, how he would teach. He was very old and ailing at that time, which he was for a long time. And this Swami who told me the story was his sevak, an assistant. He saw it. A gentleman came to Swami Premeshananda to give a gift. He had a nice cane, nicely worked, inlaid and all, because the Swami needed something as a support. And the Swami said, no, I don't need it. And this gentleman insisted. And the gentleman knew the Swami's attitude. He said, look, I don't want anything in return. Just take it, that's all. It's not that I have any kind of other intention. I'll be just happy if you accept it, that's all. When he kept on insisting, the Swami finally said, all right, I accept it. And now, let me break it. The gentleman looked shocked. He said, why did you look shocked? If I broke my own cane, you would have just thought he is an eccentric old man. But why do you look shocked when I break this? Because there is a mental connection with this. I have given this to the Swami. and expect it to be used, well taken care of, not to be snapped into in front of me. I misused this example once. Years later, a monk with all good intentions wanted to give me an expensive book. And I, being a young, self-righteous young novice, I said, no, here is the example. The cane, and the Swami said, let me snap it. And the gentleman got shocked, and see, even a gift has always a subtle effect on the mind. Then the long-suffering Swami sort of rolled his eyes and he said, look, if you want you can tear the book away, it will be such a waste. Yeah, but common sense, definitely. So these are the 5 components of yama. And all of these take effort, and mental effort, and discipline, and commitment to observe. But here Shankaracharya says, what is yama? None of that. You don't have to go down that route. Sarvam brahmaiti vijnanat indriya grama sanyamaha. When you realize, I, Brahman, am appearing as all of these people and all of these objects, all of it is nothing other than an appearance in me. You will find truth. Whom will you tell a lie to and for what? You will find discipline, sense control. What can you be attracted to? Because it's you appearing in that form. There's no separation between you and that object or that person. I remember I saw one 3D movie in my life, a long time back, when it was a new thing in India. It was awful actually. You had to put on these glasses which gave you a headache. But the kids loved it because things seemed to float out of the screen towards you. So when the warrior shot an arrow, people ducked, and with the plate of Indian sweets, the laddu and the barfi, it floated out and just in front of your nose, it floated in front of you like this. And we could see the kids trying to do this. But whether they were ducking arrows or trying to grab those illusory sweets, they were laughing all the time because they knew it's an illusion. It was fun for them. They were not really scared of the arrows. They were not really tempted by those sweets because they know it's not there. It's an appearance. It was fun for them. It's a very good example. How moral control, ethical life becomes very natural when you realize the oneness of all existence. Swami Vivekananda said, why should we not hurt others? Because by hurting others, we are actually deeply hurting ourselves. Our deep reality is one. Everywhere we are one reality. So Shankaracharya says, all those moral practices become automatic. Ahimsa, non-violence. How can you hurt somebody else? It's exactly equal to hurting yourself. So all the highest moral practices become natural for one who realizes, who sees oneness everywhere. That it is I, Brahman, in all of these forms. Do you see how he has taken the term? This is the meaning. Now he changes the meaning and shows from an Advaitic perspective how the same result can be achieved directly. Let's take 106. Renunciation. There was a question here also. You have the question about the monk and the householder or something?
I don't think it's
Somebody has. The question about, so monks are far ahead of householders in spiritual life, but are they ahead in years or in lifetimes? No, don't go get into that kind of competition. There's no meaning at all. There's no meaning at all. I've seen householders who are very spiritually advanced. Swami Vivekananda told his disciples to bow down to Nag Mahashaya. Girish Ghosh, there's an incident. Girish Ghosh who had led a pretty righteous life, but also a great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. Once he was talking with a group of devotees and monks when Swami Vivekananda was there in the later years. And Swami Vivekananda comes and asks, oh, what are you talking about? And one of the disciples who was present there, I think a monk, younger monk, said, look at our Girish Babu. Even without reading the Upanishads and all, he has understood them so well and he just gets the conclusions directly without the study of Vedanta. And Swami Vivekananda said, yes, there are these rare souls who have complete devotion to the Guru. Knowledge, enlightenment is given to them straight away. They go straight to enlightenment. But they are rare souls. Let none imitate them, he said. And then he says, always take his advice. Never imitate him. You'll go to ruin. So, renunciation. You never know who's spiritually advanced. We have to move along. Ramana Maharshi, there's a story. A lady comes to Ramana Maharshi and says, is it necessary to be a monk to realize who am I, become enlightened? And he says, no, mother, it's not. Then why are you sitting in a cave? Good. She was setting him up for the trap. Why are you sitting in a cave then? And he said, mother, it is my karma to be a monk in a cave. It is your karma to be a housewife in a kitchen. But both of us can become enlightened. So that's the thing. Here, renunciation. Tyaga prapancha rupasya chidatmatvavalokanaat tyago hi mahatam pujya sadhyo moksha mayo yataha. Renunciation of the universe is by realizing that it is all Brahman. This is the renunciation is highly praised by great ones because it gives rise to moksha, spiritual liberation, straight away. Renunciation gives rise to moksha straight away. Now, what is meant by renunciation? Usually what is meant by renunciation is giving up worldly desires, activities, relationships, basically becoming a hermit or a monk. That's renunciation. Taking to exclusively to spiritual life, those practices, that kind of lifestyle and not anything else. That is renunciation. Often it is formal. We have a monk and an ashram and all things like that. Here, Shankaracharya says, no. The real renunciation is to see everything as Brahman. Swami Vivekananda also said this. He who runs away from life to meditate and die in a Himalayan cave has missed the way. Oh, really? He who plunges headlong into the vanities of the world has also missed the way. If you plunge into the world and do what you're doing, you've missed the way. If you run away from life and go to the mountaintop, you've missed the way. Then what is the way? Swami Vivekananda says the way is to divinize everything, to see God in everybody, in your mother and father and husband and wife and children, in everybody, in all activities and persons, wherever you are. Because that is the truth. If you are running away from something, means this is not God, that is God. Mistake. At least from an Advaitic point of view, it's a mistake. That does not mean that you may not have particular life choices. That of course will come. Depends on our karma, our mental makeup, we will have different choices. So what does he mean? How is renunciation? Seeing everything as Brahman is renunciation. How? Literally he uses chidatmatva avalokanat, by realizing the self, which is consciousness, to realize that is renunciation. How is that possible? My favorite story, one of my favorite stories is about the princess of Kashi. Some of you must have heard it on YouTube or something. But still, it's worth thinking about it. There was this kingdom in ancient India where they had a dramatic performance in the court, and one of the roles in the drama, in the play, was the princess of Kashi. Kashi is Benares. Who will play that role? The queen said the prince of that kingdom was very young, 5 years old at that time. He's very cute. He can dress him up as the princess, and he will be the princess of Kashi for that role. And so they dressed him up as a princess, and I guess he just had to stand there looking pretty. And so the play went beautifully, and the queen was so happy with it. She said, paint a portrait of the prince dressed in this way. And so they did that. Today it would be much easier, like a phone, you can just take a picture. And it was titled Princess of Kashi and all of that. Years passed and the prince grew up. He was maybe 20 years old, doing all kinds of princely things, riding and hunting and all of that. And one day he was exploring the palace. He was rummaging around and he goes into the cellars of the palace, and in an old storeroom he sees this old painting, and he wipes out the dust of the painting, and he sees the picture of the little princess, and it says Princess of Kashi, dated so and so, and 15 years ago. And he thinks, oh, she's my age, so she must be a grown young woman now, and he falls in love with her. And he thinks, I will marry her and nobody else, otherwise I'll be unhappy. Now he starts moping. He's too shy to tell his mother or father, the king or the queen. They're worried. What's wrong with him? He's changed so much. Until one day the wise old minister comes to him and says, Prince, what's wrong with you? You can confide in me. What's on your mind? And the prince says, I'm in love. Good. Who is she? Oh, she is the princess of Kashi. Oh, even better, a princess, a suitable match for you. Where did you meet the princess of Kashi? I haven't met her, but I've seen her portrait. Oh, good. Well, where did you see the portrait? It's an old portrait, 15 years ago, but she is clearly my age. I saw it downstairs in our cellar. Old portrait of princess of Kashi. Take me to the picture. So the prince took the minister down to the cellar. Here is the picture. And the minister said, you need to sit down. That's not the princess of Kashi. Oh, whoever she is, I will marry her. No. Then he tells the whole story of how the play was enacted and how he was dressed as the princess of Kashi, and this was his. It's a portrait of him in that dress. Oh prince, that thou art. You are that. Now the thing is, his desire for the princess of Kashi disappeared. How did it disappear? Is it because he could not marry the princess of Kashi? Was she married up to somebody else? No, none of that. It's because he realized there is no princess of Kashi apart from him. It's a fiction to think what is fictional. He is not fictional. That idea of a separate princess of Kashi to be desired is fictional. He is ever complete. Princess of Kashi, whatever it is always one with him. Similarly, whatever you see in the world which you struggle with, I want it but I should renounce it to be spiritual, and the struggle develops. He says, when you realize yourself as the Atman, you see everything as one with you. What will you accept? What will you desire? What will you be greedy about? What will you give up and what will you renounce? Same thing. So all your problems will be solved at one stroke. One more example. So these are Vedantic meditations. What do you do with it? Get this understanding. Once you understand what's going on here, stay with it. Then focus the light of this understanding on our day-to-day problems. I am attracted to this very much. I can't overcome this obsession. I have got this anxiety, this fear, this dislike. Focus the light of this understanding on that, you will see it will dissolve. Not quickly, it will dissolve, however. Let's do another one. Breathing. 119 and 120. 119 and 120. Breathing is important in yoga. Why is it important? Because it's the one link between the mind and the body which is under our control. In yogic meditation, we are supposed to control the mind. Very difficult. Anybody who's tried meditation has the same complaint. My mind wanders, I cannot control it, there's so many thoughts. Arjuna had the same question to Krishna in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Oh Krishna, this meditation which you have taught me is useless, he says. Why? Because the mind is difficult to control. It requires controlling the mind and focusing the mind. Very difficult to control. And Krishna gives him the answer there. There is a way to do that. Now one thing that the yogis discovered was the mind is connected to the breath. So when the breathing is deep and harmonious, rhythmic, the mind also comes easily under control. Cannot directly grasp the mind, very difficult, it escapes. But you can grasp the breath, you can control the breath. And so they developed a whole science of pranayama, whole science of breath. Books and books can be written and have been written on it. So basically it consists of 3 things. Breathing in, holding the breath, releasing the breath. So breathing in, puraka, breathing in, filling the lungs. And then holding it, kumbhaka, holding the breath. And then releasing, rechaka, emptying the lungs. And then repeating the cycle. This is the basic idea, but there are counts to it. So when we do it, for example, Breathing in, if it's a count of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, mentally you count, or Om, 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 4 times, mentally, and we are breathing in all the time. Then stop. By the way, don't do this. I shouldn't teach you this. It's not meant to be taught like this. You have to learn it from a teacher. Otherwise, there can be negative effects. I've seen it happen. This is the basic minimum. 4 counts breathing in. Then, if you do a 4 counts breathing in, you should do a 16 counts stopping the breath. You close the. It's like this. Breathing in 4 counts. Hold the nostrils with these fingers. 16 counts mentally count, holding the breath, and then releasing. This way. I'm making a sound, you should not make a sound actually. So when you release 8 counts, then breathe in again 4 counts, hold 16 counts, release again 8 counts, and that's one cycle of pranayama. Like this you can do 4 cycles, 8 cycles, 16, 32 like that and so on. And the length can be increased, always in the ratio of that 1:4:2. Now this is pranayama. What does Shankaracharya do? You now know. He's going to connect everything to Brahman. So, he says, what is pranayama? Nishedhanam prapanchasya rechakakhya samiranaha brahmaivasmiti yavritti purako vayuriritaha tatas tadvritti naishchalyam kumbhaka prana sanyamaha ayam chapi prabuddhanam ajnanam grana pidanam. So he says, first you start with emptying, breathing out. What is breathing out? Notice that the world is an appearance. There is no pot apart from the clay. The world is name, form and function. It has no substantial reality. That is breathing out. You breathe out the universe. Nishedhanam prapanchasya, negating the prapancha, universe. This is called breathing out. Then, Brahmaivasmi, I am Brahman, I am the existence, consciousness, bliss. That is called breathing in, when you dwell on that. And then, stay there. I am Brahman, the world is an appearance. That is called kumbhaka, holding the breath. Then go through that cycle again. You breathe out the universe, breathe in, I am Brahman, stay there, breathe out the universe, breathe in, I am Brahman, stay there. Ayam chapi prabuddhanam. This is the pranayama, breathing of the wise. But what about the other one? All the techniques, this one, that? He says, that is just torturing the nose. So this is the mischief. Ajnanam grana pidanam. The breathing exercises the ignorant do, it's just torturing the nose. This way. Alright. Now let me deal with some of the questions. So in this way he goes on. Any one of this, you notice this is not really about breathing, the one which he is talking about. It is just dwelling on the appearance nature of the world, on the substantiality of your own existence, isness, awareness, and staying there as long as possible. Now, let me just answer a few of the questions. So Vishishtadvaita recognizes the world as real but as a part of God, while Advaita says the world is merely an appearance in consciousness. In our context, does this difference really matter? That is for in a quest for enlightenment? Yes and no. At the basic level, it does not matter. When I'm trying to lead a moral, ethical life and search for God, philosophical differences are not important. But at a certain stage, they do become important. For example, these practices which we are talking about, world is an appearance, I am Brahman, stay with it. It is possible only if your philosophy is non-dualism. It's not possible if your philosophy is Vishishtadvaita. If my philosophy is Vishishtadvaita, then my focus will be on bhakti and surrender. The ultimate practices in Vishishtadvaita. Why? Because I am a part of God. So the ultimate practice has to be my relationship with God. God is the total of which I am a tiny part. So I am totally dependent on God. I surrender to God. God is my beloved. This is called prapatti, complete surrender. That is the final practice of a Vishishtadvaita, highest practice. Whereas here you are doing something else. So it will make a difference at that level. Then between pot and clay, the pot and clay are back. There are 24 cosmic principles. How does Vedanta, both Advaita and Sankhya, deal with this situation? He is talking about the 24 cosmic principles of Sankhya very briefly. Prakriti is nature, insentient, no consciousness there. Prakriti is nature, very scientific that way. That's one principle. From that evolves Mahat, the intelligence principle. From that evolves Ahankara, the ego principle. From that evolves the mind principle, Manas. And from that evolves the 5 subtle elements and the 5 gross elements. On this side, the 5 sense organs and the 5 motor organs. So a total of 24. And beyond all of this is the 25th, consciousness Purusha, which we are actually. So this is the idea. Now, Advaita Vedanta will say, all of these 24, are they apart from existence? If they are apart from existence, they become non-existent. If they are dependent on existence itself, Sat, then they are appearances. Dependent on existence alone is real, and these are appearances. So they will all be put under Maya. This is the thing. Does Advaita accept them? Yes. Advaita has no problem, but accepts them as the transactional level, Vyavaharika, transactional reality, Maya. Ultimate reality is very simple in Advaita Vedanta. No 24 principles, 25 principles, nothing. One and second, without a second, Brahman, and you are that. Then, okay, a cause and effect. So can everything flows from one thing to another? So for example, we are recycling. This is the effect of Mataji's recycling. There's a question about recycling. So what is it? It's like that, a recyclable material. The same material going through different processes becomes different forms. The effect becomes a cause again, and that becomes an effect again. Is it possible? Of course it is possible. The clay itself, which is the cause of the pot, the clay itself is an effect. Vedanta will say it's an effect of the earth principle, Prithvi Tattva. That itself is an effect. Ultimately you go all the way back. It's an interesting exercise. I heard it from the Puri Shankaracharya, not directly, but in a lecture. He said, all of this physical universe can be reduced to the 5 elements. Remember the old cosmic paradigm of most ancient philosophy, civilizations have it, the 5 elements. Sky and air and fire and water and earth. So entire universe, just mentally do that. Everything is nothing but the floating 5 elements. And the 5 elements have emerged from Maya. They are nothing other than Maya. Maya has no existence apart from Brahman. Brahman exists by itself and is one and non-dual. If you do that, in 5 steps, you go back to your reality as Brahman. How does one know if he or she is getting closer to being enlightened? Vishaya Virag Ishwarya Anurag. Sri Ramakrishna put it very simply. Dispassion about the world. Not apathy, but the world is no longer the center of my being. That I have to do this in this world and I have to avoid that in this world, then only I am successful. No. In whichever way you define spirituality, God, self-knowledge, enlightenment, that becomes the center of my being. World is still there. Of course, we are still in the world. So, pull towards spirituality or God becomes stronger, and a serene detachment from the world. If this becomes stronger and stronger, we are getting closer to enlightenment. One Swami in India put it very nicely. He said, don't think of it as a yes or no, 100 or 0, on and off. Don't think of it like that. There is a gradual manifestation of the effects of spirituality. What will happen? 3 things should go down as we go forward in spiritual life. All our negative reactions, anger, irritation, obsession, depression, all the things which we don't like in our life, which we want to overcome. What will happen? Not that they will disappear overnight. What will happen is, over the time of our spiritual practice, 3 things will go down. The frequency of those occurrences will go down. I used to get angry or irritated 3 or 4 times a day. Now it's once a week. Good. We're moving towards enlightenment. Intensity will go down. I used to go into a rage. Now it's a burst of irritation. Good. Intensity will go down. Earlier I used to be depressed for days. Now just a wave of sadness. Okay, good. That's great progress. And third thing is, recovery time will go down. Earlier, I would get mad at somebody, or I would say something harsh, and then I would berate myself for being so inconsiderate, and it would go on in my mind. Difficult to break out of it. Now it's done, finished. I take care of the situation, make amends, and it's gone. I can unload it from my mind. Good. Empty the bucket. So 3 things. Frequency of negativity will go down, intensity of it will go down, and you recover much faster. Recovery time will go down. I think that's a very good way of putting it. The questions about karma. So all the questions about karma, there are several questions. I am going to put them all together and say, in Advaita Vedanta, it's crucial to understand the role of the 2 truths. Ultimate truth, Brahman is the only reality, world is an appearance, and I am Brahman. Relative truth, Vyavaharika. World is there, I am there, all ethics, good and bad, they matter, and God, Ishvara is there. Karma is also there. Birth is there, death is there, rebirth is there. At this level. And it's not so difficult to understand. We do it all the time. The difference between our life and fiction. You're reading a book of Harry Potter. Harry Potter went to a school of magic. True or false? You'll say, look, in the story, true. There are certain things in the story which are, if you do a Harry Potter quiz, you can't say everything is false. Then you will never win the quiz. There are certain facts which are true within the universe, fictional universe of Harry Potter. And there are certain facts which are false within the fictional universe of Harry Potter. There are some people who are good in that universe. Some people are not good in that universe. And all of that is true within that fictional realm. And you have to function like that in that fictional realm. But it's also true, it's a story. It's a story. There is a deeper reality behind it, which is our real life. Similarly, what we consider our real life is a story, is a fiction. There is right and wrong within it. There is good and bad within it. There is happiness and misery within it. But there is an underlying reality, which is you. It's your story. That difference has to be understood. Karma is part of this fictional story. Advaita Vedanta accepts karma, but only at the relative level. Ultimately, it is dismissed as Maya. Ultimately. So this is how you deal with questions on karma. I have kept the last question, the most difficult one for the last. Simplest one. It says, Swamiji, Namaste. I was wondering if there are any answers to the question, how is all this even possible? How is all this possible? I take it to mean you're saying Brahman exists and Brahman appears as the universe and we are going through this, and how, why? Why is it going on? What's the big question? Jim Holt, you have the book, Mataji. Why does the world exist? Jim Holt's book. I saw it in the ashram.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a science journalist in New York. Wonderful book, if you see. The name of the book is Why Does the World Exist? What does he do? He goes to quantum mechanics scientists, physicists. He goes to philosophers. He goes to theologians. He goes to mathematicians. He goes to information science specialists. Cutting edge work in different fields across the world today. And he asks this question, why is there anything at all? Existence. Why is existence there at all? It could be nothing. Just nothing was there. No stars, planets, human beings, planets, animals, no Vedanta, Buddhism, theism, atheism, nothing. Just nothing. Why is there anything at all? This is the question. It's the ultimate question actually. It's the deepest possible question. Wonderful. It just gives you a tour of the most advanced thinking across all the fields in the space of this little book. And in a very enjoyable way. He goes to different people. Is Advaita Vedanta there at all? Interesting, it's there. Towards the end. He goes to a very famous American philosopher, Robert Nozick, who passed away a few years ago. Nozick. And Robert Nozick says, some theory he's talking about. Then he says, well, maybe, after all, maybe the Hindus are right. Atman and Brahman. Maybe that is the answer to all of this. That's the only thing is after all the theories have been discarded, he comes to Advaita Vedanta. But then he quickly discards that also. He says, no, this is too crazy. Let's get back to physics and mathematics and all. So, why does all of this exist? I won't go into it. We've gone out of time. So, not that I have any particular answer to it. Looking at me very expectantly, he will tell us the secret of everything. Why does all of this exist? I think Bertrand Russell had the story about giving a talk on physics in England, and this little old English lady comes up and says, young man, you think you're very clever, but everybody knows the world is supported on elephants, and the elephants are on the back of a tortoise. It's well known. What do you mean, what is the foundation of the universe? And this physicist, he said, madam, but what does the tortoise stand upon? And the lady said, you think you're so clever? Its tortoise is all the way down. Thank you very much. Yes. Now, so 2:40 to 3. We have 20 minutes.
Okay, very good.